On July 29th, 2022, Hoyoverse released the third trailer for Sumeru, in which they showed all 5 stars for the region, including best girl, Dehya. From the moment I saw her in the trailer, I knew she was going to be the best character in Sumeru, and I was right. At least for me, not only her design and personality are perfect, her kit is also a very good one, and it is not bad as people made it seem during her development. And I was honestly very hyped for the day she would release. And even though I had to wait 215 days for her to finally be in the game, I was pretty confident she was gonna be a solid character gameplay wise. February 28th, 2023. The day 3.5 was coming, and with it, Dehya's banner. I was very excited for this day. In fact, the last 215 days I spent grinding in the game to get every single primogen I could to pull for her. 2 hours before the service closed, I had 322 pulls saved for her, and I had a lot of faith that I would be able to get not only her, but her C1, and with a lot of faith, her weapon as well. Later that day, when the servers were almost reopening, I started streaming on Twitch, because I wanted to register the moment and her pulls with a friend. It was 11:15 p.m. when I started logging in the game, trying to get in as soon as possible. I was very excited to log in, but I was trying to log in a little earlier than I should. The servers were probably gonna open around 11:30 or something, and 11:15 is, you know, it's quite early, but I didn't bother with that. I kept trying to log in as much as I could because I wanted to pull for her as soon as possible. I've been waiting for this day for a long time. I was very excited. It was a moment of hysteria. I wanted to log in. I wanted so much. I was clicking non-stop for 6 minutes, and then it happened. A message appeared on the screen. Too many tries. Try again later. Because I stayed 6 minutes trying to log in, MiHoYo probably thought I was a bot or something, and they timed me out. I received a timeout in the very special day that I've been waiting for 215 days. I was shocked. I didn't know what to do. I never saw something like that before. I didn't know that was even possible. What do I do? There's nothing else on the screen. All I know is that I should try again later. But when is later? And I stayed there. 10 minutes passed. Nothing. I wasn't able to log in. Then 20 minutes passed. Still nothing. 30 minutes. I was beginning to lose hope. I was wondering how much longer will I have to wait to log in. My friend gave me the idea to restart my PC to see if it worked, because he could log in my account on his PC, so he thought maybe restarting would do something. I restarted my PC. It didn't work. I was in shambles. I must confess, I almost cried a little bit. The day I was waiting for so long, it was ruined for a bad decision I made in a moment of hysteria and excitement. And then 1 hour passed and I was able to log in again, and I was very happy. And I promised to never complain about Genshin again, and never spam to log in for 6 minutes straight again. When I logged in, I was very happy, because it was finally moment to pull for her. I got all the free pulls we got from the Archon missions, and I rushed to the banner. And there she was, finally, closer than ever. And I started pulling. And after 87 pulls, I got her. Dehya was finally in my account. 215 days later, I was finally able to play with her. That was a very happy moment. And then I thought, well, let's try get her C1 now. And then 15 pulls later, I got Kuching. It was the first time I got her, so I was very excited. And on 15 pulls, that was a very like 50-50. Then I tried again, C1 on 40 pulls. I couldn't believe my eyes, you know. In less than 200, I got her C1. And then I thought to myself, well, let's get her a weapon now, because that will probably take all the remaining pulls. 17 pulls in, I got Primordial Jade for the first time. 70 pulls. I was beginning to think the gacha gods blessed me. That 1 hour of waiting was all worth it, because I was blessed with immense luck on the 50-50s. Because I started pulling again, and after 75 pulls, I got her weapon. I got Red Seed. No, I got Reed Seed. And it was... I couldn't hold back. I was too excited. Like, I had to pull more. There were so many pulls left, and where could I go with that, you know? And then I pulled again. After 75 pulls, I got her C2. I won a 50-50. Then I pulled again. After 25 pulls, I got 1080 for the first time as well. And then I had 70 pulls left. I thought, well, let's try. And I couldn't get her with 70 pulls. But later I bought 10 more, so I was able to get her C3 with 80 pulls. And I would say it was a very blessed pull session, you know? Because after not pulling for so long, I was able to get a lot of new stuff and characters. For the last month, I pre-farmed everything I needed to put her on level 90, her weapon on level 90, and all her talents to triple crown. So the moment I got her, I immediately got her to level 90, but I didn't put her triple crown yet, because I wanted to put my Ganyo first. It was something I wanted to do for a long time, and since she was my first main, me and my friend went to farm the last 3 golden books I needed to put my Ganyo on triple crown. And there they were. My Ganyo finally with triple crown, and now my Dehya with triple crown as well. I couldn't be more excited to test her. But I had a problem. What about the artifacts? I've been farming Crimson Witch for 1 month and I couldn't get anything good. The only good ones I had were in my Hu Tao. The problem though is if I took them out from my Hu Tao wouldn't do damage. But I didn't mind that and I switched all the artifacts from my Hu Tao to my Dehya. And I gotta say, it wasn't ideal. But later I put a crit damage hat on her and it worked out. So in the end of my artifact switcheroo, she had 58 crit rate and 191 crit damage and a 61% bonus pyro damage. I was using Crimson Witch because I wanted to test her damage on Vape and Melt teams. And I wanted to test her not as a sub-DPS, but as the main DPS with her ultimate. And I've been theory crafting some teams for some time now, thinking of what characters would be good to always apply cryo or hydro so she can melt and vape as much as she can on her ultimate. And I knew that wasn't gonna be easy since Yelan and Shinkyu don't have synergy with her, but I knew that wasn't a problem because although they are the easier way to make vape, they aren't the only way, and I wanted to find the Dehya's way. At first I was just testing her damage, seeing the numbers with her E and how much it would do if it vaped. Just a disclaimer here, I didn't activate any of her constellations at this point. I wanted to test her damage raw and I gotta say it was pretty impressive. I started with Mona because I wanted to see how much damage her E would do. My friend had Kazuha and Nilo to apply as much hydro as we could. Her E was doing almost 11k damage on vape, and I was already expecting not such a big number. Later, my friend switched Kazuha for Bennett because I was using an HP hourglass, and because of that I didn't have as much attack as I should, but Bennett was there to compensate for it. And her E cast was doing 16k, almost 16k on vape, and almost 36k on the recast. And now, because of Bennett, her coordinated attacks were doing 10k raw without Vaporize, which was a big buff, and he combos very well with Dehya. And after that, I was finally getting to her ultimate territory. I was now looking for team comps to vape her punches. I gave my friend the idea of Sucrose, Shinkyu, Dehya and Bennett, because I thought a Nemo character paired with a Hydro character would cause enough Hydro infliction to make most of Dehya's punches to Vaporize. And the damage was quite insane, you know, compared to the last tests. And you might be wondering, how was I vaping if there was no hydro in field? And that was because of one thing, Shinkyu's E applying hydro constantly. And we kept testing that team for a bit until my friend decided to quit so I could test the teams on my own. And after putting Bennett on C6, which was quite painful, and a lot of tests, I got to the conclusion that this team is not that consistent and I need a better character to apply hydro, because depending on Sucrose's ultimate to turn hydro and Shinkyu's E sword for the highest punches to vape was not as consistent as I thought it would be, but I thought another team could be more optimal and more efficient. And yeah, believe me when I say it wasn't consistent enough. I tested it for a long time. And after some time, I decided to switch Sucrose for Ayato, since he would apply Hydro automatically, and having double Hydro on the team would bump Dehya's HP up a bit, which would help with her damage. That team proved to be way more consistent at vaping her punches, but unfortunately I didn't crit, so skill issue I guess. And after this test, I thought about trying to get 36 stars on the Abysm, which I didn't because of Magokenki, and it was annoying and I don't like that boss. Then I went to the Abysm with Futao team on top, put some leftover artifacts I had from the Crimson Witch, leveled up the Jade as much as I could, and Dehya's team on the second half. And I made a small change, switching Shinkyu for Sucrose, and so I decided to finally, after testing Dehya on C0 for a while, activate her constellations, and oh boy, this might not be a surprise, but she does way more damage with her constellations. Her E-Vapes were doing way more damage now, and her punches were doing 51k with Bennett's buff, and without them they were doing almost 37k. And her kick was doing 46k without Bennett's ultimate. And I was able to vaporize most of the punches. The ones that didn't vape was because of the ICD and all of that. But when I got to chamber 2, my Hutao wasn't doing enough damage, and Magokenki is a son of a bitch. And because of that, I decided to try something new. I decided to do the unthinkable. I tried a melt team with Sucrose, Ganyu, Dehya, and Bennett. And I gotta say, it worked really well. Not only Ganyu's ultimate applies Cryo just as much as Ayato's ultimate applies Hydro, but Sucrose's ultimate also helps with the elemental application you need on both cases. Hey, it's me from the future. I'm here to say that after testing the melt team, but with double cryo instead of an emo character, I can safely say it's better and it's more stable. Although you have the artifact buff with an emo character, the cryo application is not enough to justify it, and that's why I think double cryo is better, especially with Rosaria because of the crit rate buff she can give. And then maybe if you prefer Kaya instead of Ganyu, that can also be useful, since you'll be up and close with your enemies when you punch. So yeah, overall double cryo is better for melt teams. And when you don't have Dehya's ultimate, you can always use her E and switch to Ganyu, so Ganyu can do a lot of damage. And also I need to correct myself on this part. You can't switch to Ganyu for her to melt because Dehya's E is slower than Ganyu's arrows, so the one who will be melting is Dehya and not Ganyu. You can try doing some shenanigans like doing a normal attack and then charging her arrows, which may work. I haven't tested that out. It's just an idea I had. But yeah, you can't use Ganyu and Dehya to... like, you can't use Dehya to make Ganyu melt. Only the other way around. So yeah, just clarifying that as well. Now, with the melt team, the damage went up quite a lot, you know. Her punches were doing 73k damage. Of course, considering the ICD, not all the punches are gonna do that, but they were still doing a lot of damage. And her kick was doing 31k? I don't really understand why it happened. Showing up one final time because I was thinking about this quite a lot, and I'm pretty sure the ICD is shared between the punches and her kick, because during other tests and during the same Abysm, the same problem happened sometimes. So I'm pretty sure it was an ICD. Like on the clip I showed earlier with the double cryo team, the test I did before that one, the kick didn't melt, but when it melted, it did 79k. And on the test before that, the final punch before the kick melted, but the kick didn't. So I'm pretty sure their ICD is shared. Don't quote me on that because I could be wrong, but from my experience, you know, I'm pretty sure they are shared. So yeah, that's quite a hard thing to control because you need to find a way to store the melt for the kick, but you need to keep punching to keep the DPS going. So I'm not entirely sure how we can make her kick melt more consistently. I'll keep figuring out, but it was probably an ICD problem. Yeah, so yeah, final appearance in here. Bye. And also, when I ulted with Dehya later, her punches were doing 79k, almost 80k, because I took advantage of the Crimson Witch's passive, and her kick did 24k, without melting, that is. But yeah, my conclusion after that was that Dehya can do a lot of damage, like a lot of damage. Only problem is finding a consistent team for her. So yeah, I think Dehya has a lot of potential to be both a tank for her team in some team comps, and she can also be a pretty solid DPS if you put enough effort into figuring out a good team for her. I'll keep trying to mess around with some team comps, trying to find a solid one, because she's my favorite character, you know, and I want her to shine as bright as she can, because I truly believe she has a lot of potential. Dehya is not a weak character. Yes, she's complicated to use in some team comps. If you want to use her as a main DPS, of course, if you just want her to tank, she can be pretty solid and consistent. But as a main DPS, it can be kinda tricky to use her. I'll admit that. But that doesn't mean she's not a good unit, because she is very good. And those tests showed me she can be very, very good. The only problem is finding a team comp that can fit her as nice as she can fit in our hearts. Thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next video or stream. Take care everyone, and goodbye.